C-71. Firearms should be classified on what they do, not what they look like. And any liberal policy statement that is made, order in council, in the next few months, should we form government in October, we're going to repeal that.
All right, we're at the wrap of the Canadian Coalition of Firearm Rights AGM in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm here with Michelle Rempel, MP, Calgary Nose Hill.
Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you. We just finished hearing your talk to the constituency here at the CCFR, and it was a pleasure to listen to you speak.
Thank you.
And I understand you're a firearms owner, and
I am.
This is a big deal for you.
It is. We're at a point in our country where we need to talk about reducing firearms-related violence, but I feel very strongly that everything that this government has done has been to essentially punish law-abiding firearms owners when we know quantitatively that the issue is not with our community, it's with firearms that are being illegally smuggled into the country and are being used by gang members. It's really important for groups like this to meet, to push back against the Liberal government's policies, not just for our own property rights, but also to keep Canadians safe. If we want to address the issue of firearms violence, we can't allow the type of policy that we're seeing from Justin Trudeau to be put into law.
Bill C-71 has gotten through the House of Commons and the Senate and will be getting royal assent. So there is a sense in our community, a sense of nervousness that something further could be coming down the pipe, maybe in the form of a gun ban, certain types of firearms. So can you maybe address?
I think that nervousness is well placed and perhaps not strong enough a word. We've had several of Justin Trudeau's ministers not just muse about this, but actually talk about the necessity of this. The issue with this, again, just to reiterate the point, is that not only is this going to punish a community of people in Canada that by Statistics Canada data are 3 times less likely than a member of the general public to commit an act of violence with a firearm. Not only is it going to affect us, it's also going to ensure that the laws that we need to actually keep Canadians safe aren't enacted. We need to have stronger punishments for gang members. We need to do more to address the issue of firearms being smuggled into Canada from the United States, stronger penalties. This is where our policy focus as the Conservative Party of Canada has been. But again, like my word of encouragement to the firearms community in Canada is to not just sit back on this. This needs to be an election issue. And I think that, you know, an average Canadian who might not own a firearm or might only be exposed to the issue of the firearms debate with information that's coming in from the United States, it's up to our community to really get out there and explain, look, we all care about reducing firearms violence to a level of 0, but these laws are going to do nothing to impact that. So it's very encouraging to see that type of a focus here this weekend.
So the Conservative Party going into the election, do you guys have an official platform position on this? We do.
So with regard to Bill C-71, our leader, many of our members of caucus, we've come out and reiterated the position that our position is to repeal.
This is why I'm proud to stand on the stage, you know, after my leader of my party has said, we will repeal Bill C-71. Firearms should be classified on what they do, not what they look like. And any liberal policy statement that is made, order in council, in the next few months, should we form government in October, we're going to repeal that because we know it is not going to reduce that crime incident.
With regard to what you just said about any orders in council or bans that would come into place in the next few months in the lead up to the election, we understand as Conservatives that firearms should be classified based on their functionality, not on their cosmetic value. So certainly any Liberal legislation that would be put in place to ban firearms related to that, we would repeal. Certainly, you know, over a year ago now, we put out a very comprehensive platform on how to tackle firearms violence related to the issues I just talked to you about, ensuring that we're not seeing smuggling into the country. But more importantly, again, respecting the right of law-abiding firearms owners in Canada. This is not the American debate. You and I both know what it takes to get a firearm in Canada. It's not like buying a latte, not to be too glib about it. We're already highly regulated, we're already highly vetted, and our party would respect that. I guess my call to action to anybody who's watching this is, regardless of political stripe, every Canadian needs to be holding the government and political parties to account on their stance on this issue, because we do want to keep Canadians safe. The legislation that's being proposed through C-71 is not going to do that.
So C-71 gun rights are going to be a major, major issue in the upcoming October election. So the official position of the Conservative Party, Andrew Scheer, in official opposition, is that Bill C-71 gone, and any sort of order in councils, gun bans, not going to happen, or will be repealed.
Absolutely. Even going back to the previous Parliament under Stephen Harper, we put forward legislation that very firmly said that, look, it is not up to the RCMP to classify firearms. That is, firearms should be classified based on what they do, not what they look like. That's pretty common sense. And also, just more in terms of the foundations of democracy, the police shouldn't be determining the type of property that you and I own, right? So I think that that's something, it's not just an election platform, it's something our party has long supported as a principle. We've enacted in legislation. But everybody is concerned. We're concerned when we see acts of firearms-related violence happen. The platform that we've put forward deals with the actual determinants of violence in Canada, not beating up on easy targets, which are you and I, people who have gone through the vetting process, that are some of the safest Canadians in the country. And certainly that is something my party leader, Andrew Scheer, has put forward, something I've been very vocal on. Our public safety critic, Pierre-Paul Hoos, we're very clear on this, and certainly anybody in the community can rest assured, or anybody in the broader Canadian public, we care about firearms violence, we've got a platform to deal with that, but it's not going to be at the expense of law-abiding firearms owners.
So actual evidence-based legislation?
What?
Yeah, I know. So we're going to actually maybe tackle gangs, criminals, smugglers?
Yeah, I mean, like,
that's refreshing.
The AGMs here in Calgary, we've seen alleged gang leaders who were accused of murder using a firearm illegally smuggled into the country walk away because the Liberals weren't able to appoint judges. That's crazy. And we need to be ensuring that the people that are actually using firearms to commit acts of violence are dealt with under the fullest extent of the law, that they're punished, and that the sources of those firearms, which we know aren't Cabela's.
No, I'm from Ontario, Danforth shooter. We don't know where that firearm came from.
Absolutely, and that's a great example. So we have to be pragmatic and come up with policy that's actually going to address the issue, and that's, we're very proud to stand up for that, both for the rights of Canadians who want to keep safe, but also for people who support and abide by our laws in terms of firearms ownership in Canada.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Michelle, for attending the CCFR AGM. It was a
Thank
pleasure
you so
to
much
hear you
for having
speak,
me.
and I look forward to you guys having great success in the upcoming election.
Thank you so much.
We need it.
Thanks.
And so you don't miss out, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and subscribe to us on youtube.com. This is Coat of Arms.